Hey everybody, I'm here with Paul Hickey. Paul Hickey has been kind enough to drop by this morning at the hotel room here in beautiful Sandy, Utah. And a little bit about Paul's background. Paul is the financier, the shareholder, the amazing man who really saw an opportunity at Rain International when, Paul, I think Byron Belka actually approached you. And I don't think a lot of people know that story of why you got involved with Rain. What really kind of spoke to your heart when you had that kind of sit-down meeting, kind of like we're having here? Why don't you tell everybody out there?
Well, it was someone that we had contracted to do our yard at our house. We'd moved into this house, and he knew Byron. And this guy was a real entrepreneur, and he's asking me, what do I do? And I'm an investment banker involved with raising money for lots of companies, investing in different companies. So he was fascinated, and we'd have conversations while he was working on the yard, which was really kind of fun. And he said, I know this guy that's got this network marketing company. They're trying to raise some money. You should meet him. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I'm here in Utah, right? So I'm constantly being approached by different companies that are network marketing companies trying to raise money. And I've looked at some, and I've just always stayed away for various reasons. They're fairly high risk type businesses, especially in the early stages. Yeah. For an investment banker, I look at a business model and which ones are the best ones to invest in, and those are fairly risky in the early days. And so I wasn't even interested. And this guy just kept pestering me for a few weeks. You just need to meet him. It's really interesting. He's a really interesting guy. And I finally said, okay, but I'm not going to go to his office. Just bring him here to the house. Right. So I was just not so unmotivated that I just said, all right, just have him come. Byron shows up, and literally within the first 2 or 3 minutes, I recognized immediately that this was different and that he was different. So Byron said, look, here's what we do as a company, here's our story, and here are the challenges we're having right now, and here's what we need and what we need to do better at. This is like 3-4 years ago. Right. And the first thing that I recognized is that he was being honest and authentic, which sometimes is hard to find in the management of these companies. Yeah. A lot of the success of these companies comes from the founding management, right? Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I stay away, because a lot of them don't have good management. They just don't have the solid. So Byron had this great resume from the industry. He'd been very successful. Right. And he was very transparent. That's the word that we like to use in investment banking instead of saying honest. We like to say transparent. And he was very transparent about what was good and what the challenges were. And so he caught my attention. And the good news is he's been transparent ever since. He's always been very forthright, very transparent. Great person, great manager. So then I started listening more to the story and what they've got, and the seed story. That was a brilliant, not only is it a brilliant for our health, but it's a brilliant business. I'm looking at this as a business, right? And some of these network marketing companies, they get locked into like one fruit, right? And then they try to make everything that they do out of that one fruit, which, it really limits you. Yeah. When you have a story about seeds, there's no limitations here. Yeah. This can go forever with new innovations, new products that are really spectacular. So I love the story, which caught my attention. And then I found out, what their manufacturing situation was, which was really brilliant, because that takes a lot of capital and a lot of, just a lot of money. And when I found out the relationship that Rain had with the manufacturer, again, another thing that went, okay, this is not your typical company in the early stages. Yeah. And so that was, how I met Byron. It was through my contracted yard guy that built my yard. It was, and it's been a great relationship ever since.
There's so many rich nuggets in that already. I hear authenticity. I hear story. Mm-hmm. And then I hear some of the business terminologies. And I'm going to pass the selfie stick to you here in a second. But, there's a lot of people that are watching us right now, and they're going, I don't own an island. So maybe talk about your little island experience. But there's some of us out there, and I'm going to speak for myself, who have friends, and before we started this little video chat, who are entrepreneurs, who have done well in business. How does a guy like me who hasn't really done this type of work before, or let's say there's a new RAIN partner, you know who you are out there, that wants to approach somebody of that magnitude? I think you already gave that answer just in your first comments, but let's talk to that person out there. How do they approach that person? How do they talk to that person? They're friends. What do you think, Paul?
Well,
I'm going to hand you the stick.
All right. So, okay.
Oh, there we are. Anybody dizzy?
I like taking, because it's what I do. I look at businesses and I analyze them to see if it's a good business to invest in, a good industry, if the business model is correct. All of that is key to getting involved in any business as an investor. And really, when you get someone involved as a RAIN partner, they're making an investment. And it's a little money, but it's a lot of time and resources, right? So I like to approach people and say, look, this is an investment. How do you look at this? You should look at this like you're making an investment in any other company. And so let's look at the things that I look at as an investment banker to say, what do you need in a company to make that investment? Well, in network marketing, there's a few things you have to pull the trigger and say, that's a good investment to make. And before I jump into that, I just want to back up one step and just talk about network marketing as a business model, why it is a good investment, generally speaking, and then I'll talk about the specifics of what RAIN has. Generally speaking, I can talk to anybody. I don't care if they're running an investment bank, if they own 100 food franchises, successful Wendy's, whether they've got a great manufacturing company. I don't care what kind of business they have. I can talk to anybody that's in business and explain why this business model is a great business model to invest in as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay? And here's a couple things. And this is, a lot of people already know this. I mean, number one, this is the kind of a business where you don't have so many of the risks and liabilities that you have with a typical business, right?
Okay.
Those are all managed by RAIN.
Right.
You don't have to worry about manufacturing. You don't have to worry about quality control. You don't have to worry about shipping and international licensing and taxes and, oh my goodness, just with the product itself, product development, all of that is on somebody else's plate. You also don't have to worry about employees. And anybody that's owned a business, I'm speaking to them something that they all react to, which is, oh, if I could just have a business without employees, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, nobody
no headaches there.
I've never met an entrepreneur. It's like, oh my gosh, if I could just, I wish I could just have 100 more employees, Nobody says that, right?
Right.
Now, do they want people that they work with that are good people that help them? Sure, of course. We all do.
Yeah.
But this is a business that you can build with no employees, which is brilliant. I mean, for any entrepreneur I've met, they love that. And then from just a liability standpoint, I just, the stories I could tell you from different businesses that I've owned and businesses I've been involved in, and the silly lawsuits and things that go on, just it's such a waste of time and energy and resources that you don't have to deal with. Yeah. And then you look at the scalability. I had somebody call me the other day. They've built this really cool online site to attract people to buy aftermarket car parts, right? And they've created a great business model. They attract the traffic, and then they send it out to the companies that make everything, and they get a commission. It's an affiliate deal. And this thing will just scale like crazy, right? Nice business model. That's what network marketing can be when you do it the right way. It's very scalable, and it's very hard to find businesses like that. I talked a little about that in my last presentation with the Subway franchise. You can buy one, costs a couple $100,000. Maybe you make 75 grand a year. Good job. Now what do? You need to go spend another 200,000 to make that another $75,000. Network marketing is one of the best businesses on the planet, other than an internet business like I just described.
Right.
It's really the next best business for being able to scale with very little resources. Most businesses take hundreds of millions of dollars to grow them. Even Facebook did. Facebook took literally billions of dollars to scale their business before they started to become profitable, right?
Right.
You don't need billions of dollars. You don't need millions. you need time and energy and resources. You need to know how to do this business, right? Like you're helping people to do. But from a business model, network marketing is a brilliant business. And I've seen 1,000 different business plans. I've seen it all. And this is a brilliant business model, right? So now Rain. So now if you've decided this is a great business to get involved in as an entrepreneur, which it is, how do you pick the right company? That is really, really tough because as a distributor, someone from the outside looking in, it's hard to really get into the nuts and bolts of the management and who they are, where they came from, and so forth. And that's one of the things that I do as an investment banker. I don't invest my money or my clients' money unless I've done deep due diligence, like 200 question checklists of things that we have to do, all the way down to background checks on every officer and founder, to looking at bank accounts and audited financials and everything that goes along with it. And so we do months and months of research before we get involved with the company. So after I met Byron, and I liked the story, I liked the industry, the management I loved, key thing you have to look at, right? We like the product, and of course, I've said this before, but the Rain product and the thing that was different about Rain from any other network marketing company I've seen in Utah, and we're here in the epicenter of right?
Yeah, I think a lot of buildings right down that freeway.
Yeah, they're all around us.
They're all around us,
and a lot of their sales come from distributors buying the product. And Rain, it's I haven't seen the stats in the last couple months, but in the past, I know that this was true. We looked at it. Their retail sales, Rain's retail sales, are 10 times the industry average.
Wow.
And so that tells me that the product is actually works. It's a real product. It's about the product, right? The opportunity is spectacular. Yeah. But when you have a product that really works and they're committed to any product that they come out with being a high impact product. Yeah. Another thing I liked about Rain, when I looked at them, they had one product and they knew that they needed another product, but they spent lots of time and energy and research, and that's what they're doing with every product they're coming out with. They want it to be high impact, a real product that people are going to buy and use whether they're involved with Rain as a partner or not. Now there's very few companies in this valley that have had that discipline. They just, we need new products, we need to have a product for this, we got to do that, we got to hurry up for the next convention. And these guys have, I've seen the discipline, I've seen them disappointed because they wanted to have something for a convention, right, and then they pulled the plug when it wasn't right. Yeah. That's spectacular. I mean, that is really committed to doing the right thing. Yes. Instead of doing the quick hit profitable thing, they're doing the right thing for the long term, which is going to be better for everybody, shareholders, partners, everyone, right? Yeah. And so, you look at their commitment to product quality, another key part of the management and their philosophy. And then, the other thing you got to look at, and I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, sorry.
It's okay.
Is when you're making an investment as an entrepreneur into a network marketing company, you got to look also at the compensation plan. Now, I'm not an expert in that.
Me neither.
I hired an expert who was, because there's plenty of them around here, to look at their plan, and he said, extremely generous. Is it too generous? Because some companies get in trouble paying out too much, and then all of a sudden they don't have enough money to manage the
That's a great point.
The corporation, the foundation to grow, right? And so I, fortunately, was able to see underneath and all the financials and what dropped to the bottom line, and they definitely have enough to manage the company, grow it, make a profit as a company, which you want them to, because that goes into the R&D and research and everything else that goes with the company. Right. And so that was brilliant to hear that this, you got to be careful that it might be too generous. There's a balance, right? And so that's something, as an entrepreneur, you're making an investment in a company, you want to make sure you're going to get the best return on that investment, and that compensation plan is a big part of it, right? So it's a very generous compensation plan. And, you kind of add all those things up when you're doing your due diligence, you as an investor, in what company you should invest in. Rain really has all of it, which is why it's the only company I decided to get involved in and raise money for as an investment banker, and I loved it so much I invested some of my own money. Right. Thank goodness, because it's turning out to be a brilliant investment. I couldn't be happier, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you add it all up, and you've got management, you've got a great story, you got great product commitment, right? You got a good compensation plan, you got a great manufacturing system in place, and now you have a couple years a foundation built for the people getting involved now. 3 years ago when I got involved, I didn't think it was risky because I did all the due diligence. Right. I knew where they were going, and I knew they were going to get the financing, because that's really, okay, this is another thing, right, that really messes up a lot of these network marketing companies. They get started, they start growing, and they don't take that much money to start. I mean, you can start one with like $1 million. It's not that much, $1 or $2 million, right? And then they self-fund the first year or two, because the growth is nice and easy. And then all of a sudden they hit this growth curve and they're calling me going, hey, we need $5 million. And I'm like, well, when do you need it? Well, like next week. And I'm like, well, I can't help, and then they implode. And it's a common thing that happens. And so that's another thing I liked about Rain is they had the foresight to see that they needed to get professional finance people involved early before that happened, so that they had the financial resources to fund that growth, right? And there's several people, not just myself, involved with Rain that are standing on the sideline waiting, and that's going to happen fairly soon, that super spiking, they call it the, momentum is on the verge of happening. And so, that is another fundamental thing when you're doing your due diligence, but that one is really tough for distributors to figure out. Because they can say, oh yeah, we're great with financing, but they'll give you no inside access. And they don't have to, they're private companies, almost all of them are, right? In the early stages. And so that's one thing about Rain that's very different. And I've talked about this before, but you can't find a company at this stage in network marketing, pre-momentum, that has investment bankers, private equity guys, and lots of other really super high net worth people that are involved, invested, and ready to finance the growth when it's needed. Right? So it's a real fundamental part of the success of a company.
Yes, it is. Paul.
So that was a long answer to your question. Was that one question that I just answered? What the hell? Sorry. So I just kind of... Anyways.
Okay, Paul. Thank you very much. No, Paul, that was awesome. And I think, there's some people watching this, like, probably hitting rewind or stop, and they'll take some notes, because there's some nuggets really here. And for those of you who are Rain partners, part of our team, not part of our team, but just this is really for all of you. We serve not just the interest of ourselves and our own teams, but all of us as Rain partners. So I thank you, Paul, for that, because I know other people will see this video, not just those that I've sponsored into the business here, but there's Rain partners out there right now who are business people. They're doctors, they're speakers, they're producers. They love the product. What do you say to that person? How do I balance this? How do I share this and still kind of do what I'm doing? Where do I find the nooks and crannies of time? And I love the product. I want to share it. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's another benefit of this business model of being a partner in a network marketing company, right? Because you don't have to do this 60 hours a week. You can, and I think it's a good investment of time, actually. But for the vast majority of people that get involved, they've got other careers. A lot of them have successful careers, and they find joy in that career. They don't have to give that up ever, right? And be very successful also with this business. And so I would say it's again another thing about the business model that I love about network marketing is you can continue to be successful with your producing, with your manufacturing business, whatever it is, your health practice, and still build this business on the side very successfully that can last for 100 years. As long as the company is here, it'll just continue to go. And that's what happens with this kind of a business. And that's one of the brilliant things, where you build it the right way and it will continue for, I have lots of friends all around here that got involved in other network marketing companies 20, 30 years ago, and they're still collecting checks month after month, right? Just month, 20, 30 years plus. And so that's what happens, right? It's a great long-term residual income that can continue to grow. So how do you get involved? How do you do that? Well, that's, first, I'd say the first thing is, you use the product, become a believer and user of the product, right? Second thing is, you really need to understand the company, watching this kind of stuff and other training. Get to a convention, get to a Rain Day, get the training, because you need to get comfortable enough so that when you do talk to someone, you can answer the basic questions, right? Instead of saying, I got this great product, call this guy. You need at least 5 minutes of shtick, you know? I mean, you need at least to have a few minutes of why this is great and how it's good. And that's the training that Rain gives and that you give, that what's that introduction? How do I transition from, I got this great product, you need to try it. And, you know, I don't want to, I'm not great at that. That's what you guys are really good at. That's where they need the training a lot. So that's my comment, is get the training, spend the time. It's going to take a little time and energy. I mean, you have to commit. You're going to make an investment, right? But that's going to be a spectacular payoff if you take and invest your time to get comfortable being able to talk about it the right way. Yeah. And that's key. And you know, a lot of people, I got to tell you, a lot of successful business people, doctors and other entrepreneurs and whoever they are, they've got this image that, oh, network marketing, I don't want to talk to people. That image is changing. Network marketing is going mainstream. It's going Wall Street. There's some big, huge, multi-billion-dollar network marketing companies now, and there's more coming because our world is network marketing. I mean, we're all being connected on a worldwide basis. This business model is becoming more relevant by the day with technology. Technology is actually making this business more relevant. And it's becoming more sophisticated, and more sophisticated people are getting involved, and that's going to continue. And so this kind of idea that it's, oh, you know, it's for little people that need money, it's just going out the door. Lots of very successful people are getting involved because it's a great business model, and it's a great way to make money with spectacular products if you get involved with the right company. Right?
Yeah, and timing is always... some people will say, well, they'll be watching this video, you know, 3-4 years from now, and the timing is still going to be amazing. So it's really, you have that next generation compounding. The product is working. The product's really not on trial. People look at this more from a business standpoint. But talk to the Rain partner out there who doesn't have a business head. You know, they love to share. They love to share. You know, they're a storyteller. Or there's people out there that just want to have fun. Now there's others who are analytical, and there's others who show me the numbers. You know, so you have different types of personalities that get involved, as you know, and yet you yourself are involved on a personal level. So there was something that spoke to you, not only just from your investment banking hat, but from a personal hat, your family, yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very committed to try and live healthier than our current culture norm, right? And luckily my wife is spectacular. She's keeping me healthy and happy. You know, she's amazing.
They tend to do that. Thank you, ladies, for doing that in our lives. We appreciate wives, girlfriends.
A gourmet, clean eating chef. I mean, I don't eat perfect, you know, but I eat a lot better than the average American, and I'm concerned about my health, and that's one of the things. When I heard the story, the seed story, I'm like, that totally makes sense. I want to look into that. And the more I looked into it, the more I liked it, right? And so the product is just spectacular. And it is a great product. I take it every day. You know, my whole family takes it every day. I'll take it every day for the rest of my life. And I'm so excited about the new products that come out with, and that they're going to be coming out with at some point in the future, at the right time, when it's the right product. So, you know, I love the company, whether I was an investor or not. I love the products. I use them. They're great. We love them. My wife is a hardcore summit junkie. You know, she's summited Kilimanjaro and in Africa and Cotopaxi in Ecuador, and she, you know, Kinabalu in Borneo. And we were just in Austria at the big convention in Austria.
Right.
And when that was over, we went and I told my wife, I said, you know, she's the hardcore hiker, and I'm kind of the one she drags along once in a while. She does those on her own.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to be in Austria. Do you want to go? She said, there's mountains there, so I'm coming. And I said, find a summit hike that I can do, okay?
Yeah, so not K2 or something like that.
I hate being cold, and I'm not you. I don't have the experience with technology. So the next day she says, oh, I got our hike. I'm like, really? What is it? Oh, it's Grossglockner. What's that? She said, that's the tallest peak in Austria. We're going to summit the tallest peak. I'm like, oh, you know, and she said, it's just a overnight, you know, we got to hike up to one place, spend the night, and then we'll summit the next day. So it's just a 2-day trip. Like to cross a glacier and, you know, like clip on, and it was a great experience. I wasn't cold. The weather was great. I had proper equipment. Fantastic. But the reason I'm telling you that is when she summits all of these high peaks, she takes a sole with her and she gets a picture at the summit. So now she's got the picture of Seoul, the tallest peak in Austria and Africa and in Southeast Asia, and she's collecting those. It's fun. But she takes them. When she hikes and she summits, she takes Seoul.
That's pretty cool. Hey guys, intimate time here with Paul Hickey. And any questions, let us know. Leave it in the comment box. But Paul, thank you so much for stopping by and for your insight. And I had the pleasure of meeting Paul a year ago, and he meets so many people. But one of the first things that Amy and I thought about when we met you there at the Rain office was the same thoughts you had about Byron: integrity. That you had a story. There was authenticity to you. And, we were new to this business, so that was one thing that spoke to me. So it seems to kind of run down the line. So
thank you very much. Yeah. I hope so. And I feel the same about you, by the way.
Thank you.
Very authentic. I'm really excited what you're doing, how you're doing it, and you're going to have a lot of success if you keep this up.
Hey, guys, it's Paul and Ingo, and we are so grateful you stopped by for a few minutes. We're going to head off to our lives. Paul, you want to share a little bit at the very end about I think you just bought an island, and for those who maybe didn't see your other video, give us about 2 or 3 minutes of that.
Oh, well, all right. So
come on.
So I was doing a lot of business in China back in the 2005 to 2010, and at that time I was looking to buy an island in Southeast Asia. I'd been looking all over. Little island, build a couple villas, send my Chinese clients down there as a little perk, and it's a good long-term investment. There's so many islands, and the Chinese are buying up all the real estate in Southeast Asia, so it's all appreciating. So I was looking at it from that perspective. Plus, I just always, ever since watching Swiss Family Robinson, I've always wanted to have an island experience, right? Yeah. And I looked and looked and looked, and ultimately didn't find anything until about a year and a half ago. A buddy of mine called and said, "Hey, I've got a deal on this island, and it's just below the Philippines, off the northern tip of Borneo, and it's this tropical, gorgeous, white sand, beautiful coral reef island." And
paradise, in other words.
It is, and I looked at it, and it looked great. The laws in Malaysia, it's part of Malaysia, are very friendly for foreign ownership. Great legal system there. I mean, the property was spectacular. There's actually a little village on the island, so I don't own 100% of the island. I own a big part of the usable beach line and a lot of the interior, and we're planning to develop different style, super green environmental resorts. Now, the first thing we're probably going to do is a glamping site. Glamping is glamour camping, so it's these big, beautiful, permanent, tents that have beds and lights and everything in them. It's not like a little pup tent you're sleeping in, so they're really comfortable, but they're a very easy footprint on the environment. Takes little resources to put them in, takes very little electricity to run them, but you can still be in this beautiful environment. So I don't know, maybe a rain camp glamping site over there, in Malaysia. It's a good part of Asia, so maybe,
Is there a place to grow some seeds there?
Yes, there are. We've definitely talked to Seeds of Change for the little villages there.
Awesome.
That's a conversation we're having, and so whether it's rain camp or not, when our first site gets there, we'll definitely have some kind of rain event there, to begin with.
Really
kick it off. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, thank you. Paul, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And thanks to you guys for taking your time. I know it's valuable for watching us here on the video. And you guys have an amazing day wherever you are at. And thank you again. Bye-bye, guys. Let's hope that stops, Paul. That little red light is still blinking.
I will just do
You do that.
that.